So I just wanted to share those ideas. I'm going to stop the share here so that hopefully you can see me. So that the stroke is of great concern, and we're kind of tuned into it as a rehab institution. And I um, really enjoyed and appreciate Dr. Bagel's comments about the variable presentation of COVID, and this instance of stroke really suggests that we need to pay attention to the possibility of rakta dushti, particular rakta pitta, in this stroke presentation that's really quite common, that we're seeing more common than we expected. So that's one point, is just looking at how to tackle this from an Ayurvedically informed perspective. In terms of the rehabilitation world and the United States medical world, we are embracing, I think, pretty mainstream, a concept of prehabilitation, which basically means something that's been accepted for pre-surgery, that you do some conditioning and some strengthening of yourself. And so the concept of prehabilitation for COVID-19 is really being embraced in our medical community here. And that means simple measures to improve immunity, including nutrition, proper rest, and proper movement. That's well accepted. And of course, we're looking into antivirals, and relaxation and biofeedback and support groups are embraced by our hospital, which I'm a part of, and people are doing simple things like vitamin C. And we have an interesting situation here where, like the Rosenbergs were talking about, is there are patients that are very interested in this, and yet, like Dr. Morandi is talking about, the institutions around us, including the medical community, is more conservative, and I think more reductionistic still in their approach. So we do have a good way to build a bridge through the scientific methods, and I think there's some openness, though classical Ayurveda is not well understood in our medical community here. So I think that some things that would be particularly helpful, where we already have acceptance of this concept of immune boosting and prehabilitation, any kind of population studies that you're doing, or that we can do anywhere in the world, that really looks at some key classical Ayurveda based interventions, such as just the hot beverages, some rasayan, some nasya, some things like that, and looking at the clinical response. Ideally, if that could be done in comparison with a control group that is not getting it, maybe is getting standard allopathic care, and ideally looking at a subset of patients that can, at least a subset, can get some lab values, some objective measures. Could be lab values, could be cytokine activity, could be other biomarkers, and if that could be matched to some age, sex, and medical condition matched people that are not getting the treatment, that would have a very big impact here, I think, in terms of translating to the medical community, who would then be able to really deliver this kind of better informed care to our patients and our people. So if any kind of, and I think also there's a need for when people are getting treated for the actual COVID infection complications, in a variety of complications that we are going to be seeing across the world, classical Ayurvedic treatments that can be combined, even in a smaller study, with people that are not receiving them, would have a very big impact. So we'd be very interested in that, and I think there's unfortunately so much emphasis on just vaccine, antivirals, and maybe this idea of one supplement, and the whole person approach is there here, but I think that being able to synthesize that into something that's Ayurvedically informed for something better than just, the general exercise, vitamin C. We can do better, and we can do better with Ayurveda. So I really enjoy listening to everyone's wonderful, wonderful comments about this and the importance of the whole person health and the Ayurveda model. And thank you so much for allowing me to share. Thank you for this opportunity. And I really appreciate everyone's thoughts, and hopefully we can all work together on a solution to this worldwide problem. We have a strong integrative health program that I'm very happy to be directing at Spalding, and there's a great, people really are welcoming yoga, Reiki, energy healing, acupuncture, relaxation, but there's even resistance in some places to the word meditation, which is unfortunate. So we need to make the world bigger and bring the best of all worlds to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ariana Vora from Harvard Medical School, USA. Thank you for sharing your views with us. Now,
you,
we'd like to invite Dr.
Yes.
G. Geeta Krishnan, Ayush expert, WHO Geneva, to brief the subject to the gathering from the WHO.
Yes.
Yeah. Dr. Mahesh Vyas, thank you so much for introducing me. Of course, Dr. Tanuja Nasri, it has been an honor that you invited me to give a speech. And I am currently, to all my friends out there, I have seen many of them in the list, even though I was not able to be part of the meeting from the very beginning. I had been able to listen bits and pieces of it because there has been some work going on here. And I have been fortunate enough to be on the spot where the work is happening. So I had been in India since mid of March and have been fortunate enough to be part of the work with the great work with the Ministry of Ayush has been doing here. And has been able to be of some kind of a support to the ministry. So that is very kind of the ministry to have accepted that, and as well as the WHO, my office, to have allowed me to do as on a personal basis, but basically working on my official time. So this is something which I would like to acknowledge first of all. WHO, as you know, is looking at traditional medicine in a major way. And I have seen very major shifts in the way in which WHO is looking at traditional medicine recently, especially with the announcement that the Director General made us today, saying that traditional medicine is there is nothing which needs to be separately looked at as it is traditional medicine or modern medicine. All medicines have to be evidence based, and everything has to go through the right kind of vigor and public safety. Then it should be accepted as a medicine. And he was very clear about it. He didn't want to segregate traditional medicine, traditional medicine from modern medicine or any other kind of medicine. He said that traditional medicine is also medicine, and it needs to be looked at with the point of view of science and evidence and safety. This is what he said. And then also yesterday came the formal declaration from there was a note from the regional director of African Regional Office of WHO, emphasizing the need for looking at traditional medicine and traditional health practices, and especially traditional herbal medicines for management of COVID. And that was quite encouraging. And the DG, Dr. Tedros, specifically mentioned about that during his speech yesterday. And in that sense, there has been a lot of work happening in Western Pacific region, especially in Korea, in China, and some. I know that there is some work happening in Malaysia, and a lot of work happening in the Southeast Asian region, which includes India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, etc. For example, in Nepal, they have already published an integrated Ayurveda-related a protocol for management of COVID. So has Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is in the process of doing a series of clinical trials, which is in public health as well as in clinical medicine. In management of COVID, they are looking at independent management of COVID through Ayurveda, from point of infection till the patient becomes completely free of COVID, COVID positivity. So these are things which are happening. But if I talk about what is happening in India, I think is the most exciting time to be in India as an Ayurvedic doctor, because the complete insufficiency of allopathic care is quite visible across the globe, because insufficiency of allopathic care in the management of COVID is quite visible across the globe, because there is a lot of research happening, but there is nothing evidence-based for management of COVID. And so is the case with traditional medicine. But I think traditional medicine, even though there are regulatory issues clinically and especially clinically, is at a higher has higher evidence in their hand regarding possible medications, especially when you look at even Ayurveda, Unani, or Siddha. There are very specific suggestions to similar kind of diseases which were seen, which were recorded in the classics of these three systems. Even in homeopathy, there is a basis and a logic for creating medicines for these, which could be very safe and effective. This needs to be tested out, and the government of India has very boldly taken up few steps to take this, bring this into action. I can mention about few of the clinical trials that the government is taking, but even those clinical trials, they had very cleverly, organized it. For example, there are 4 national level clinical trials which are being organized by the ministry. From my understanding, one of them is a very strong immunomodulatory medicine. Another one is from an Ayurvedic point of view, is a clear dosha-hara medicine, which is specifically to dosha-related, configuration of this disease or pattern of this disease. And another one is a Vyadhihara medicine, especially due to the symptoms of cough, fever, and chest pain. This and then another one is a patent holding medicine, which has been developed by the Council of Ayurvedic Research and has been used as a anti-malaria drug for some years. And has been repurposed for this because it has been found to have antiviral effect in different viral diseases recently. So I think it is an unpublished data, but the results of the study had come out in the right time. Come out means it was not published, but it was come out for analysis, and the analyzed data has come to the council's hand at the right time when this happened, and they have taken that. So out of these 4 drugs which the government of India is doing for national trials, at least 3 can be of global nature, because most of them, all 3 of them, have been approved regulatorily and are present in more than 50 to 60 countries across the globe, and is already available in these countries. Only the changes would be in the dosage form or in the or combinations, etc. But these are all available medicines in different parts of the world and different countries, and has overcome the regulatory hurdles. So already, so if necessary and if any time, I understand from the ministry's point of view that even though they are planning a multi-centric trials, they are also supporting multinational trials, where several countries could be involved. And I understand, even though from distance, I understand that the ministry is in the process of creating bilateral discussions with different countries to look at institutions and clinicians who would be interested in taking these regulatorily approved drugs for management of early or mild to moderate cases of COVID, or prophylaxis of COVID in their own countries. So these are great opportunities for Ayurvedic enthusiasts and Ayurvedic scientists and doctors across the globe. Also, I would like to specify the kind of work which the ministry is doing in the other area of population-based science, like population-based studies. They had already covering more than 3.5 3.5 lakh means 350,000 people through prophylactic measures through Ayurveda, and more than that through the other systems put together. So now the ministry is planning to look at this data and try to stratify these people based on their risk profile, their comorbidity profile, their age profile, etc. Risk profile in the sense of the proximity to COVID patients and interaction with COVID patients. Let us say, for example, people who are working in front line in managing COVID patients, or people who are working in the hospital, and to the general public who are in the low risk category, and then trying to find out in a comparison with a similar group what kind of a benefit this Ayush prophylaxis had brought to this particular group. That's a big study. I think if that happens, that could be of great benefit to the entire Ayurveda sector, entire traditional medicine sector across the globe. And WHO Ayush is in discussion with WHO regional office to create this kind of a to develop this kind of a study, and they are involving, to my knowledge, some of the best institutions in the globe to support and to create the methodology of these studies and then implement it. So All India Institute of Ayurveda, where this webinar is being organized, is one of the major partners of this study, and probably Dr. Tanuja Nesari or Dr. Mahesh Vyas would be able to enlighten you more about it, or if they have not already done that. And the ministry has also made guidance document for creating protocols for research, especially in clinical research, also in population-based research, and they have approved it, and they are publishing it. They are publishing it as a guidance for anybody in the country to do research. They are also giving very good financial support for doing this kind of research. They are giving regulatory support. I think I have never seen the ministry so active and so intently work towards one single goal. And I can see the entire Ayush sector in India at least working as one single unit during the past 1.5 months, and it has been a really good time to be here. And I'm also happy that I am able to contribute as a WHO personnel in this, and WHO is also happy that we are doing this kind of a work, and I am regularly reporting this kind of a work to WHO, and they probably will also report it in their annual reports about what had happened during COVID in this in India. Of course, we are also working with Korea. We are also working with Malaysia. We are working with Iran. We are working with Sri Lanka. We are working with Nepal. So there is a lot of work happening in traditional medicine, especially in Ayurveda and Ayurveda-related drugs across the globe. But it is too early to come to a conclusion or make any concluding statement about the kind of work which might be happening in the next 30 or because this is prospective, and we have to see what happens in the next 30 to 60 days as outcomes regarding these studies. I am sorry, I will have to leave right now, but it was extremely good, and Dr. Vipul has already sent me the message saying that please stop. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, it was really kind of me to have been given this opportunity to talk to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Geeta Krishnanji, for brief explanation on things happening in all over the world. Now I would like to request Dr. Manoj Nesri ji, Advisor Ayurveda Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, to brief about the international relevance of this today's subject. Dr. Manoj Nesri ji.
Thank you, Mahesh. First of all, I am very much thankful to Honorable Shripad Naik ji and the Secretary with Rajesh Koteja ji for leading the ministry from the front. And I'm also thankful to our Director of All India Institute, who has taken this topic to have this international webinar on this COVID. So congratulations to all of you. I would like to mention that we must be thankful to the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, because for the first time, probably in the history of India, the Prime Minister, he interacted with more than 50 renowned Vaidyas, the practitioners of the Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, all over the country. It was a webinar, and through which he could spend about an hour. And there he actually enthused people. At the same time, he also took the inputs from the various experts. to decide the policy that what should be the way forward. And that's why I'm really thankful to the Honorable Prime Minister, and that has led to the advisory that the ministry issued about 2 months back. And this advisory, it became very viral because the next day it was tweeted by the Honorable Prime Minister. And we got the call from our Indian mission from the UK that there is a lot of enthusiasm, there is a lot of demand for this kind of advisory from across the globe. And this prompted us to get it translated into 8 different languages. So this advisory, as mentioned by many other speakers, it is not only one medicine or one intervention. It is focused. It is the holistic approach in which we have mentioned about the diet, the lifestyle, the dinicharya. At the same time, exercise, yoga, the nasya, and the one Ayurvedic decoction, and the Chawanprash. So this is a holistic package that we gave, and I believe that that would be very much useful because we know that in COVID, this pandemic, the physical distancing and lockdown, so the gyms, exercise, and all of the same facilities they were closed. So it was very much impossible for the people to go outside. So this kind of lifestyle, including the yoga, would have been very useful to people, and that's why we got it translated into 8 different languages like French, Japanese, German, Portuguese, Spanish, Russian. Obviously, it was in English and Arabic. So in these 8 languages, it was and Japanese, and it was translated. And then we proactively send it to all the Indian embassies and missions all over the world. At the same time, all the embassies of different countries in New Delhi. And that's how we tried to disseminate. Then this was there on the WhatsApp and Facebook, so that we tried to communicate to many more people. This was again followed by twice the Honorable Prime Minister when in his address to the nation he recommended and he appealed to the people to follow these guidelines to keep themselves healthy. So the India is the first country who proactively emphasized to promote the self immunity and the self health, in addition to the other advisories like the physical distancing, hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, and all the other things at the same and the lockdown. So this immunity is the very much part which the ministry emphasized. And I would like to mention that there was a lot of impact of this advisory. The day actually the Prime Minister he mentioned, uh, hundreds and millions of people they actually logged on to the ministry's website, and that led to the actually ministry's website was crashed. So that much actually severe burden was there on the or the load was there on the ministry's website, and I'm really happy to mention that. At the same time, there was a lot of enthusiasm. There were many more calls that we received from even international community regarding their help to the India. We also received the demand for the medicines from various countries. Some of the countries demand that we have already fulfilled, and we have already dispatched huge amount of medicine to these countries, and thanks to the Minister of External Affairs. So all the various ministries of the government of India, including the Minister of External Affairs, so we are working in collaboration. So on one side, this research and documentation is going on. On the other side, these kind of activities to support the community, they are going on. Uh, I would like to actually mention that especially there is 400 times more demand for the ashwagandha and the chawanprash. So these are the two products which got a lot of demand, and the Sanchamani, which is primarily the guduchi based product, or the Tinospora cordifolia. So these are the products which were or which became very highly in demand. And I would say that this demand would further go on because the COVID is not necessarily only affected the person who has actually affected, but it has a widespread impact because there is a lot of many people they have lost their jobs. There is the laborer problem is there. There is the financial crisis is there. So all these other issues are there, and that has led to the suicide and the depression and all these kind of problems also, and they will probably remain. And that's why on one side we should actually conduct research on this immunity aspect of the COVID. At the same time, there could be the mental aspect, the psychosocial aspect, because the other aspect is COVID is considered now as a stigma, and those people, those whose blood sample were taken just for the testing, so even before the test became positive or any result was came, they committed suicide. So that kind of actually stigma it led. So these problems were there, and we should actually work on that also. On other side, on the post-COVID scenario, I would like to mention that since the economy of the entire world is now deteriorating, so we thought that let us now work on how actually we can develop this economy. And from that perspective, in the India, we have the Ministry for medium, small scale, and micro industries. And with the MSME, we started entrepreneurship development program online because anyway people were locked down at home, so they can actually join. And this was basically to targeting to develop the entrepreneurship in the Ayush sector. And I'm happy to share with you that every day, not less than 10,000 people they were watching this training program through Facebook, and at the same time, it was also there on the live. So this is the enthusiasm and was there. At the same time, there were many ministers who actually took the speeches with the various stakeholders of Ayush and Ayurved. The Honorable Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, he had a twice meeting with the industries to understand their problems and how actually we can promote the industries. The Honorable Minister for the MSME, Shri Nitin Gadkari, so he addressed to the stakeholders how there could be the entrepreneurship, how could be their entrepreneur development could be there, and what could be the various aspects of developing the entrepreneurship. So these various aspects could be there. Many ministers they have come. The former health minister, Mr. Nadda, he also had address to the community. He had interaction. So likewise, the entire government is working to promote the sector, and not only sector, but to tackle the various aspects of COVID. At the international level, I would like to mention that it is not only the immunity aspect. Obviously, we would like to have the collaboration and the active collaboration with our partners at international level, whether those institutes which are already there, whether it is George Bera or Dr. Ariana Vora is there, and Morandi is there. So many of these experts are there. At the same time, we would also like to have this collaboration with many more countries. We have the collaboration, and this collaboration we can strengthen, whether it is pertaining to the this depression and anxiety related aspects, whether it is pertaining to the immunity related aspects. And if it is not only research, even the IEC activity, that is information communication activity, as Dr. Borashi mentioned in his speech, that the community in the US, they are not much actually aware of this. So there is a lot of scope to inform to the community that what actually we can provide through the Ayurveda or yoga or through the systems to the community, how they can be healthy. So maybe actually we can undertake this collaborative activity. Dr. Dilip Ghosh, he is very much active at Australia. So these activities we can very much take up. We can have the either some kind of information brochures or maybe some kind of newsletters or these kind of activity that we can start. And since it will be in the electronic media, it may not require even a lot of funding also. So I believe that there is a lot of scope for having this international collaboration to further strengthen and to further take the message of Ayurveda and to spread the message of Ayurveda internationally. Geeta Krishnan is there to help us from the WHO side, and we are also having the dialogue with WHO CRO, that is Southeast Asian Region Office. So the various offices of the Government of India, the various countries and various international organizations. So let us come together and let us actually spread this message of Ayurveda and yoga all over the world to maintain the world safe and healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing advisory of Ayush and steps taken by Ayush Ministry with us. Thank you very much, sir. Before presentation of Professor Srinivas Acharya, sir, now I would like to cordially invite Padma Bhushan Vaidya Devendra Tribhunaji ji to speak on Chikitsa of COVID. Padma Bhushan Vaidya Devendra Tribhunaji.
Respected Honorable Minister of Ayush Shripati Nayak ji, our esteemed Dynamic Secretary Rajesh Kotecha ji, Tanuja Nesri ji, Mahesh Vyas ji. This COVID is spreading all over the world now. Ayurveda has went out of the boundary from India early 80s, 82, 83, when people were not knowing it. So hundreds of thousands of doctors of Ayurveda in those countries are practicing Ayurveda since almost now 40 years. So I would like to say that as our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, has said a couple of times that we should, whatever the advisory given by the Government of India, by the Prime Minister, by the WHO, that should be followed. Like they said that 2 गज दूर रहें, गमछा लेते हैं, वो बहुत जरूरी है, उसका लें हम. बाकी जो WHO, whatever the WHO said, that should be also followed. But I would like to mention here that the general advisory given by the Ministry of Ayush is not good for India, even for all over the world. That's why India has taken a lead as a Vishwa Guru for the health, for all mankind. Second is people who are in quarantine. For that, we should have a separate advisory or how to stay in quarantine with the rasayanas, like I will tell that. Third is when the people has got a COVID patients, then how to intervene in that. So all these 3 steps should be taken to intervene that. I would like to say that even in 1978, encephalitis was there in India, like in Gorakhpur and the eastern UP. And it was huge. And at that time, the Prime Minister asked Ayurvedic peoples to help that. And then a team of leading Ayurvedic doctors went there, stayed there for 1-2 weeks. And that was also controlled at the time. In 1994, plague was spread in Surat. And at that time also, the Prime Minister of India also requested the Ayurveda peoples to make that. Then again, the SARS came, the H1N1 came. At that time also, our Ayurvedic physicians, doctors, all helped in making the health of the people very good. And at that time also, Dhupan Samagri, which is known as the Yagya, also was used even in 1978, in 1994, and after that also. Because now people say that this virus also stays sometime in the air also, maybe for minutes, maybe for more that, so that can also spread from the air also. So this Dhupan Samagri is the best for that, even for the red zones, where it is more in the community, to make that it should not spread in the community. This Dhupan Samagri, which is a formula approved by the Ministry of Health at the time, the Government of India, should be made and should be sent to all the red zones, all over the state, even for all over the world. It's like a yagya. So I will appeal to the Ministry of Ayush and all our pharmacists to make this and give it to everybody to make it every day at their home. Second thing is that our rasayanas, which is very good that everybody knows to make the immunity stronger. It's like Giloy, or it can be Chavanprash or Brahmrasayan. Is very good for the immunity. So we have to fight with this virus to make the immunity stronger of the body. So for that, we have to give all these rasayanas, ashugandha, shatavar, amla, like haldi. And also if you are like a bathflashpic jar, so for that also you can make jushanda. Jushanda was made in a very, at the time was like Banafsha, it can be Gazava, Mulatti, Unnao, Lesua. So this Jushanda was made, it was given to even to the children, to everybody, to make the chest clear also. And then the kada, which our Prime Minister has said, and the Ministry of Ayush has also made, like Tulsi, Kalibe, Chadrak, Dalchini. So this kada can be made, and it should be given to everybody, not even in India, all over the world. So, because whole of the world is our family, and India, and especially our Prime Minister, is leading the whole of the world from the COVID point of view, from the health point of view. And I will say here that IU64, which is a proven medicine for anti-malaria and virus, which don't have side effects, so that should be not given even to India, but all over the world. as that malaria medicine has been said. So with these words, I would like to thank the Ministry of Ayush, which is doing a great job from the research point of view. They have a good coordination. The Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Ayush should get more together in making this research possible. This is the time when the ICMR, CSIR, and Ministry of Ayush, our health, our research council should get together. And also, our Ayurvedic physicians who are doing Ayurvedic practice in all over India, they should also come forward and make them give the data that how much they are doing this for this disease also. So in these few words, I will thank the especially the All India Institute of Ayurveda, Madam Tanuja Nesri, our Secretary Rajesh Kotecha ji, who has given this thought of idea to interact for all over the world. And as our Prime Minister has said to the Ministry of Ayush, that this CARA, our advisory should be followed every day. So that's a good thing. From a physician point of view, I will say that this is with this we can help to make the immunity of our peoples, of the nation, and all world. Thank you, Jai Advait, Jai Dharmantra.
Thank you, sir, for enriching our knowledge and also given a stress upon Dhupan and Rasayan. It will sure help us. Now I am indeed honored to invite respected Professor Srinivas Acharya, sir, Honorable Professor, All India Institute of Ayurveda, to share his knowledge from physicians' perspective. Professor S.H. Acharya.
I'm so glad that I have been invited to talk on the topic of this COVID. I'm very happy that such a dynamic seminar has been taken up by the All India Institute of Ayurveda, by the leadership of Dr. Tanuja and the team, and also the Ayush Ministry. I have been given the topic of talking on the Panchakarma treatment, and it's very astonishing. It is like jumping directly into the jungle fire of COVID and talking about the Panchakarma therapy for the COVID patients. I will try to do all my justice to this, though it will be hypothetical, but definitely I see the rational point in the approach. I will not be talking much on the preventive and the drug trial recommendations, but definitely, because I agree with Dr. Baghel and others who are emphasizing not just drug trials. We need the system research. We need the holistic Ayurveda research. This will be the ultimate for any treatment for any illness. This has to be done. Though we see that Panchakarma has got limitation for the practice because of the legal structures around the globe. But today I am very glad to say that I just came from Cuba in March, and many of you know that we have a full-fledged Panchakarma center from the Health Ministry of Cuban government. And I do the Panchakarma, the Niruha Basti, Anuvasana Basti, Tana, Vamana, Pijichit, everything. Now we have a classic setup to go according to the Ayurvedic regulations there. Now I would like to share some of my slide. I think the slide is visible for you. Is that visible now? No. Thank you. So I'm directly jumping very briefly because I have to limit within the timings. What exactly happening now in the world? On the other hand, I consider COVID is a boon to the world. Now it is compelling everybody to think from a different dimensions. So to approach the medicine, the medical field, I consider this a paradigm shift in the concept of pathopharmacology. There is a limitation of thinking antimicrobes and getting more into the immune functions and the importance of this. The host parasite reactions, which is considered in the history of the medicine, it is coming to the front now. This is something as Bija Kshetra Nyaya of Ayurveda, and here is what Balam Hyalam Nigrahaya Doshanam. This is what is very important slogan of Ayurveda that we are entering into this. So if you consider in this manner, actually, we have the holistic Ayurveda approach talking. I will not just talk about just a drug trial. We have Yukti Vyapashya indeed, we have kadas, infusions, we have food, and we have therapies like Panchakarma. This is not enough. As our representatives, even I just heard Dr. Ariana from the Harvard University telling, it is as a diversified representations. We need the Sattva with Jaya Chikitsa. We need Dhupana, as Devendra Trigunaji just mentioned. We need purification of the surrounding. We need to respect. We need the importance, understand the importance of Janapada Dvamsa and our own mental status, which is playing. This is what I see, that people say that with the effect of this locking down, the environment is purified. The river Yamuna is never before like that. The lake in Bangalore, they say, they never seen a non-fruity clear water of the Bindur lake in Bangalore. For the decades weather, it is pure. And who has done this? So this is a teaching that we have to adopt this holistic approach. Daiva Vyapashraya, yes, we need to do. Along with that, I don't think many of you have seen a live relay every day on the Tirupati Devasthanam. They are chanting to get free from this COVID virus, the Dhanvantari Stotam of Yoga Vasistha and Adi Shankaracharya Virachita Durga Stota to ward off the Mahamari. The Visuchika is the name change. And they have using it beautiful. I have no time to show you the chant. They say that they ask the goddess to weaken this virus and to remove this, to Himavantam Gacha, to go beyond the Himalayas, Jivena Saha. They say that not just killing the virus, the spirit of the virus should also go. We don't want the ghost of the COVID to remain here in the Earth planet. And they say, Chandramandalam Gatosi Swaha. We do not know why the lunar surface has come here and how they were knowing that all this pandemic are coming from beyond. So I think the Ayush Ministry must take off a notice of this Daiva Vyapashraya. They are doing more than 1 month. Every day in the morning, 7 o'clock, it is, you can watch. We need to respect the nature. We need to respect the biodiversity. Then only the whole Ayurvedic treatment is possible. We definitely has been quoted, we are seeing the pathological states are changing for the COVID, and it has got the characteristic nature, beginning with just sore throat, even the Kawasaki disease illness and the neurological illnesses and so much. And its nature across the globe is also different. It is diversifying, varying incubatory states ranging from a day 3 to 28 days. Anytime it can manifest itself. And this is the one which I want to point to, that this is the Vishamata of the COVID-19. This is where we connect with Ayurveda. This is very much important. This even can emerge as a Vishama Jwara, because the classical definition of Vishama itself is this, because it comes from the variation in its onset, variation in its manifestations, and variation in the degrees and days. 3 days, he is fine, the COVID fine. On the 4th day, he again has a fever, symptoms coming. This variation is an important pinching thing. The Ayurveda says, even in the first week, if you try to attempt any decoction in the first week, this is going to suppress the doshas, stambhana of the doshas, and such a patient may enter into Vishama Jwara. This is a very much important way in which phase of the illness you have to make a drug trial or not. And I will go next again into this, that in the second week, this recommend the ghee to give, to boost, not in the first week. In the second week, it has to be done, because ghee induces bala. And this is very important, that this mechanism of immune reaction, I heard the ICMR as claiming the plasma therapy is wise to be introduced in the second week after the manifestation of the COVID. And also the investigation of immune analysis are worth to be in the second week. You see how this phase of Jwara is very much important to consider in the holistic Ayurveda. So therefore, I insist that if such treatment and chronic illnesses which are untreated, they remain within the dhatus, Twang Gatra Sheshaha, they have told, and in the later they come out, depending upon our innate immune responses. It is called as Pratinik Bala. This is in the Jara chapter of the Charaka Samhita itself I am quoting. They get into Anvayas, multiple manifestations and Agantiras also. This is very much important to understand in terms of COVID. Innate immunity is definitely important in the concept that we do consider, and the treatment of this immunity has to be after 10 days of the manifestation as per the guidelines. Now, not just treating the illness, we have to treat the avastha of the vyadhi. This is important. Ayurveda never recommends there's one medicine, one single antiviral or anti-COVID recommendation. It has to go. Like I always consider the Jara protocol is a very good standard protocol of Ayurveda to treat any illnesses. You have to look into the apakva dosha stage. The medicines and the method for apakva dosha is different, and the pakva dosha state is different. Pachamana is different. This has to be looked into. Ama conditions and nirama conditions should also look into them. My topic is on Panchakarma. I am not going to do, but my concern is how to put Panchakarma. Where does it stand in these conditions? So I'm considering Grita as Shamana Sneha, as I told you. It is recommended only after the 10th day of this, not in the first week of the manifestation of the illness. And Grita, if it is given, and it will be in the Paripakveshu dosheshu sarpishaha panam. You should understand what is Pakva dosha and Apakva dosha within the illness symptomatology, and then only you can induce the sarpi, not in the first week. It is called as the Navajora condition. If it is given, which is very good for the immunity, to boost the immunity. And I'm going like this Kavalagraha Gandushas as recommended. Yes, they can be used in the preventive aspect also, and also in the symptomatic, positive symptomatic, and asymptomatic, and the pre-symptomatic conditions also. There's simple recommendations like Lavanam, Koshna Jala, Trifala Kashaya, they can be used. But when you talk about Sneha Gandusha, with ghee or Tilatela, you have to be careful that there should not be any ama conditions in the person. There should not be too much kapha condition in the patient. You should never use these things in such conditions. Dhuma Chikitsa. Again, Kshira Dhuma is very good, particularly in Vata conditions very high. We have this steam originating out of the milk, Dhuma, but in Sama condition, you should not. So plain Jaladuma, produced out of the herbal tea, Tulsi, oregano leaves or eucalyptus leaves can be used. Dhupana Chikitsa is a wonderful thing. I even do myself, even at my home, even in my Panchakarma center in South India, the whole house, morning and evening fumigation, with simple Gugulu, Agaru, Lodra, and I use Lobhana, the Sambrani fumigations. And most of them contains benzoin as the fumes. It's a very good sanitizer and disinfectant. And this is what to do in the treatment of both prevention as well as during the treatment of fumigation to the parts. Dhuma for Karna Dhuma or the face, nose, you can use Haridra, Kantakari, Nimba, Trifala. These are the common things. Nasya Karma, coming to the Nasya Karma. Sneha and Pratimarsha Manasya. Yes, we can use it in the preventive phase. And also, never do it in the first week because Nava Pratishyaya and Navajara contraindicated for the Sneha Nasya. You should have to be very careful. And yes, later in the Jina Jara, you can use this. And in Kapha predominant also, you should not use it. Vivechana Nasya purification procedure with Katfala Churna, Trifala, Shunti Churna, you can use it. But this is only in Pakva dosha condition. It is prohibited in Apakva dosha condition. You cannot do this in the initial phase. This is very much important. Samsana, some laxatives and also Virachan, Mrudu Virachan. The best thing is the milk. The Charaka recommends to use the Payapanam. Then again, this Payapana is in the Jina Jara or after the second week only you have to use it, not in the initial stage. And also the Koshta Shuddhi, this is Virechana, the purgative. You can also use purgative like grapefruit juice with warm milk, Anupana. This is from Charaka Samhita I am quoting from. There are simple things you can use anyway, globally also, if Trivrit is not available. But this has to be done only in Pakvadosha condition after the second week that you have to do it. Basti in the same, very good for Vatanu, like whole body aches and pains everywhere. It's very good for us. Bala, Taila, Amrit. We have got many things, or simple Taila also you can do. You can do it in the preventing phase also. In Vata predominant condition, Vata Prakop is wonderful. Niruha Basti can also be done, but Niruha Basti can be done in the conditions that where the Pakva dosha is there. Vamana is a beautiful thing that Charaka Samhita has recommended, but we have limitations. We can only do in Navajwara conditions only. So these are the few things that I would like to recommend. However, on the basis of different dhatus involved, like Rakta dosha, hemorrhage, Kawasaki's, we have got different recommendations of Panchakarma that has been displayed. I will not go because we have a very limited time sequences that imprecise. What I would like to say is wise to be considered Kapha Vata predominant Vishamajwara. This could be one. It would be wiser to follow treatment guidelines as per Jwara Chikitsa of Samhita. The state of pathology before and after the manifestation of illness should be taken into account. Illness of recent onset, 7 to 9 days. Illness after 10 days of onset, Jirna Avastha. Dosha Pakva and Apakva Avastha. Ama Nirama Avasthas. Vitality of the patient and coexisting complaints or morbidity of the patient should also be considered. This is the brief thing that I wanted to present. Thanks a lot for asking me to come here and to make a brief presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We are running late, so all the speakers are requested to conclude in a few minutes. Now I request Professor Anup Thakurji, Director, IPGT and RH Jamnagar, and in charge Vice Chancellor, Gujarat Ayurveda University Jamnagar, to share his views on the initiatives taken by National Institute. Professor Anup Thakurji.
Honorable Minister of Ayush, Sri Sripad Yasso Nayak ji, Powerhouse of Energy, our respected Secretary, Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha sir, all the eminent speakers, DGs, directors, and your friends from the different part of the world. I know I'm very much aware because I was seeing at the watch, and I was supposed to speak at 5:18 and I'm speaking at 6:25. I understand the worry of Dr. Mahesh. I will put my points in very brief. IPGP, under the instructions of the Ministry of Ayush, has taken some initiation, and with the government of Gujarat, we are working on the COVID patients. Actually, we have prepared one protocol. Government of Gujarat has allowed us to study in the asymptomatic cases of the COVID-19. We are giving, Ayurveda treatment as adjuvant in the COVID-19 patients. And we have prepared a protocol, and ethically it has been cleared, and CTRI will be done very shortly, and clinical study, controlled clinical study will be carried out. Already, whatever we are going to give going to conduct the study, that those drugs are being given to the asymptomatic patients of that particular hospital. And we are giving, Dashmul Quath 20 ml, Pathyadi Quath 20 ml with the Prakshep of Trikatu, and Sanchamni Vati 2 tablet twice a day, Ayush 64 1 capsule twice a day, and Yashtimadu Ganvati for chewing 6 times a day. That has been decided by a committee, and this is going to be done in a particular number of the patient, 50 patients. We are going to conduct this study, and medicine will be given for 28 days as a adjuvant therapy. Means whatever the conventional treatment is being given, that will be given. With that, this treatment will be given, and already in some of the patients we have started to give, and it has given very good results. Already, Secretary Ayush Department, Secretary Health Ministry, Government of Gujarat has already shared with all of you that in Gujarat, more than 6,000 quarantine patients were given the particular decoctions, and from out of 6,000 quarantine patient, only 15 patient converted in the positive. So on that basis, in all over Gujarat, many part wherever the most effective parts are there, or we can say red zone or orange zone or hotspots. These decoctions are being given regularly. Recently, yesterday's development is government of Gujarat is thinking to give Sansomni Vati and maybe Sudarshan Ganvati. We are in consultation to all the people, all the total population of Ahmedabad, because in Ahmedabad it is spreading like anything, and in all hotspots we are planning to give. Also, we have identified some areas like Ahmedabad, Vadodara, and then Bhavnagar, which are hotspots where we are going to do this prophylaxis study of Ministry of Ayush. Also, we have identified in Mumbai and Pune, where also we are going to conduct this prophylaxis study. Also, we are doing a certain program for the awareness, like on the 13th, we have a webinar with in the collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Government of Gujarat, and all the universities will be there as a participant in that seminar. We are going to speak about the immunity and Ayurveda to create the awareness among the staff and the students. Everybody will join. That will be also shared on the Facebook and YouTube. So these all activities are going on, and as Dr. Geeta Krishnan said rightly, that this is the first time it is happening that under the roof of the Ministry of Ayush, every unit is working as a single entity, and I am sure that this will take Ayurveda on new heights. So with this, I finish my talk, and I'm thankful to Professor Tanuja Nesri ji, Director AWIA, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I please request Professor Yamini Bhushan Tripathi ji, Dean IMS BHU, to share his ideas. Professor Yamini Bhushan Tripathi ji.
Good evening, everybody. I think at present we are having three very good things with Ayurveda. One, we are having Vaidya Rajesh Kutecha ji as an administrative head. And secondly, we are having Bhushan Patwardhan as a chairman of the research wing. First time a biochemist has taken the seat as a research task force. And first time as a Vaidya has taken a post of IAS officer. And the third most important thing, that our Prime Minister is pro-Ayurveda. Friends, but we did some mistake in our globalization, because the science research has a methodology. It can be done for sociology, it can be done for philosophy, it can be done for our chemistry and biochemistry also. What mistake we did in last 70 years of independence, that we focused only on the medicine part. But Ayurveda is not medicine. It is the whole way of life. Then we could not focus on that part. And WHO experts said that it should be multinational research should be there. But for the drug, it may not be possible. But for the lifestyle, Ahar, Nidra, and Brahmacharya, these three things can be done as a multinational research. And I'm very sure that if we do, and one more important thing, that
nothing is audible.
Nothing audible?
Dr. Tripathi, you are not audible.
You are audible. Yeah, you are audible. बोलिए बोलिए. You are audible.
अब आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही.
अच्छा, sorry. So, I want to say that if we should use our traditional terms. I mean, Dr. Acharya said very nicely, and earlier speaker have also said that there are three yuktis for the treatment. And Pragya Parad we could not explain to the society. If we have to talk under the internationally educating the society, we should have the scientific basis. What is Pragya Parad? We have to define it. And we say that because of the Pragya Parad, this Janopadhans has come, then we should educate the society what to do and what not to do. And they will not believe unless we do observational study for this. So being a scientist, I personally feel for the globalization of Ayurveda, observational study for the non-pharmacological methods described in Ayurveda is the demand of time. It is a very quick and very easy, and whole world will accept it. The moment we enter into pharmacological intervention, a lot of ethical issues are coming up. Now coming to this, what we are doing at BHU, we had a 7 days webinar, and based on that recommendation, we made a 16-member committee in BHU. They are developing a protocol and guideline for the treatment. And I fully agree with Dr. Acharya and Dr. Baghel that stage-wise treatment has to be defined. Only prophylactic measure is not enough. Treatment part has to be focused. And my colleagues at BHU are working very hard to define the stages of the pathogenesis. Shad Kriyakar is not there, it is Agantuj Rog. So how our doshas are being affected in chronological order? We are developing a drug for that. And third important point which I would like to focus, that in the yoga, we only popularize pranayam and asana. We forgot the yam and niyam. Similarly, in our word Ayurveda day will come and we will forget the Ashtanga Ayurveda. Only 5 branches are being popularized. We should be very firm on the proper noun of Ayurveda. Bhut Vidya, Rasayan, Vajikaran. These are the terms which were used by Maharshi Charak. Deva Vipassana. Why we are not doing research by using these terms? So if science will be there, people will accept it. Deva Vipassana is very important. Pragya Parat is very important, but no science has been done. Friends, with these words, I stop my work and I request that this should be taken in the recommendation of this webinar, that non-pharmacological approaches, Ahar, Nidra and Brahmacharya based observational research and epidemiological studies is the demand of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing very important things with us. Now, I would like to call upon Professor Sanjeev Sharma ji, Director, National Institute of Ayurveda, Jaipur, to speak few words. Professor Sanjeev Sharma ji.
Thank you, Vyasji, and good evening to all of my dear friends, all my senior colleagues and friends. We are facing an unprecedented time right now, which has challenged our health system, but not only the health system, but the patients and our overall preparedness for all this type of crisis. This is not really only the health crisis, but it is a financial crisis, it is human crisis, it is a human right crisis, it is social crisis, and ultimately landing and ending up to the psychological crisis. And we have to work accordingly. But recently, the proactive approach and aggressive approach of Ministry of Ayush and support of the national leadership of India, and support and preparedness of and paradigm shift of the thinking and mindset of the population of India, and not only India but the globe, throughout the globe, that this is a golden opportunity for we people to prove ourselves, and this is the opportunity we should encash. And we, as a team of our Ayush system and Ayurveda, we are with our ministry, and whatsoever the ministry is planning, everything will be done by we people as a national institute. We are the soldiers of our ministry. So far as NIA is concerned, we have taken almost same steps what the other institutes has taken, right from the training of our staff, students and faculty. We are also distributing this immune booster kits, having 3 components in that kit, that is Chavanprash, 1 capsule, immunobooster capsule, and then 1 quath. These are being distributed to HRGs, means high risk group patients, and thousands of kits we have distributed, and we are planning and we are trying to associate with the industry to have more kits with us and distribution to more and more population. And we are also ready to push the data of more than 2 lakh population from our area so far as these population studies are concerned. And another important thing which we have done and we have initiated, that is the telemedicine, because nowadays the hospitals are closed, are almost closed, although we are running the hospital, but unfortunately our hospital is in a quite red zone, that is within the walled area. So we have started telemedicine also. And another important thing which we are doing, that is the we have also applied for this COVID-19 testing in our lab and to the ICMR, and within very short time we are going to get that permission, and we shall be able to try, because we are having NABL standard lab, national standard lab with us, and hopefully we shall get that permission. So these are the initiative which we have taken, and whatsoever the guidelines, whatsoever the orders, and whatsoever the we shall be required to do from the Ministry of Ayush, we stand with the Ministry of Ayush as a national institute. And my thanks and congratulations to Tanuja ji for organizing such a seminar, and her team, Professor Vyasi and all other who are associated with this. I really congratulate them, and if it will be required in future, then we can we in National Institute of Ayurveda can host this type of follow-up seminar or follow-up webinar if it will be required, and it will be desired by our secretary sir and minister sir. So thank you all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir, for guiding words. Now I would like to invite Ved Jayandev Pujari ji, Chairman, Board of Governors, to speak on steps taken by CCIM and board. Professor Jayandev Pujari ji.
Namaskar to all. Respected our Minister Shripadji Naik, our beloved Secretary Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha ji, Sri Anurag Sharma ji, Bhushan Patwardhan ji, Vidya Tanuja Nesri ji, and my all other friends in the ministry. What CCIM has done in this regard is with you. Most of the institutes, they are aware about the initiatives taken by the CCIM. Through CCIM, we have trained nearly 80,000 personnel for this COVID, number one. Telemedicine guideline is already issued by CCIM, because now this is need of the hour. So we have already prepared those guidelines and issued those guidelines also. When it comes to the education, we have recently issued some directives for e-learning. See, when before COVID, man was a social animal, and after COVID, man has become a social distancing animal. So with this social distancing, you have to continue with the education, because the education cannot be stopped. And when it comes to the professional courses, it is very difficult to manage the distant learning. But this gave us an opportunity to see the education in a different perspective. The education has two components. One is teaching and second is learning. Since long time, teaching was basically even today it is person to person. That is, a teacher is interacting with few students at a time, and there are facilities for distant learning, but there is no facility anywhere in the world for distant learning of for professional courses, because in professional courses we need a training where we have to develop some skills in our student. So this skill development and this practical training program is now hampered, and in most of the college, whatever e-learning is going on, it is basically a theory based. Another thing which we are observing is these are related to basically students. They are facing a lack of educational environment because they are not going to college. So they are lacking the contact with their fellow students, that is friends, with the teacher and the environment. They are lacking the classroom competition. That is another problem which we are observing. And this actually this competition gives a boost in learning and sharing with the fellow students. So how to tackle with this is another problem. There are many teaching platforms available. In our directives, we have given the list, but the methods which teachers are using are many times different. So we have requested teachers and institutions, if they are using some different methods, which we can share with the others, so they can share with the CCIM and we can go for a better education, even in this critical situation. At many places, they have started, one good thing is the institutions have started Samhita teaching, that is Samhita Adhyan, because that has a great tradition in our country. And there are few very good teachers who can teach Samhita. So they have started that initiative also, and that is good for overall understanding of Ayurvedic education. So we are looking forward to the institutions and teachers for the new ideas to come, and we are looking this as an opportunity to learn the different education processes or learning processes other than our conventional processes. And if something, I hope something good will come with this, and we will able to incorporate this in our regular teaching and learning process. That is what I think. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share few thoughts and initiatives of CCI. Thank you very much, especially to Professor Tanuja Nesri. Namaskar. Namaskar.
In Varanasi, there is a little storm and lights have been cut. So, will Dr. Mahesh Mishra, Mahesh Vyasji, will you allow me to say something, because my computer is not able to afford more than 10 minutes? And light is cut. Myself, K.N. Dwivedi. Since
Okay, sir.
power has been cut.
I request Ken Dwivedi, sir,
Yes, sir.
to explain his views. Professor Ken Dwivedi.
Honorable dignitaries and my dear viewers. At the outset, I would like to convey my thanks and gratitude to our organizers, and particularly to the director, Professor Tanuja Nesri, for inviting me in this galaxy of Ayurveda scholars concerned to both academic and administrative fields. With regards to strategy of Ayurveda to combat corona pandemic, I am of opinion that prudent, adroit, and intelligent Secretary of Ayush Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha and his brilliant team members deserve a big applaud for their untiring endeavors to render relief to ailing humanity. Friends, sometimes nature itself brings revolution, either to maintain harmony of universe or to give an astringent lesson to unfazed world community. And the same is being today in the form of corona pandemic. Professor M.S. Baghel, who is my very respected senior and beloved senior, we are from same institution of same state Ayurvedic College, Lucknow. I support his views regarding the Nidan Dosh Dush Vimarsha of Charak Nidan 4th and 3rd chapter of Vivanasthan, that is Janapado Dansani Viman. And one thing only I would like here to make, in addition to his speech, I would like only one thing to mention here, is that in the same chapter, it has been mentioned, Tasya Mulam Adharma. Friends, in false feeling of happiness and in blind competitive run of modernity, we could not know when we became intoxicated and forgot our own culture, that is indigenous culture of respective countries. I am of firm belief that all the cultural rituals of different religions of different countries are framed to take care of their own citizens. We Indians always greet by Namaste. Now, thanks Corona, you made Namaste a global greeting. The Jains wear the mask for all the time in view of non-violence and also to protect themselves from unwanted pollutants. Thanks Corona, you reminded us all to wear masks. In Islam, every Muhammadan does 5 times namaz, and before it, they do waju, cleaning of their hands up to elbow and face. Thanks, Corona, you reminded us all to keep our hands sanitized. Meaning to say that message of all cultures and religions is to maintain brotherhood and to promote and update the status of citizens. Regarding, I have been allotted to to elaborate the initiatives of my institution. I would like to mention here that very firstly, a 6 days long international webinar was arranged from 26th April to 2nd May 2020, which was inaugurated by Honorable Secretary Ayush, Professor Rajesh Kotecha, in the presence of our respected Vice Chancellor and respected Rector, Professor V.K. Shukla. This webinar was attended by academicians, Ayush practitioners, students, and patients from India, Sri Lanka, Australia, Indonesia, and UK. Of course, Chairman Ayush FICCI, Sri Anurag Sharma, FICCI Secretary General Dilip Shenoy, and other industrialists also came to participate. Through this seminar, on last day, we declared 9-point Mahamana Declaration related to academic, administrative, research, and clinical practice protocol. This will be communicated to the concerned in days to come. We on own have taken initiative to make a samprapti, that is pathogenesis, and samprapti vighatana chikitsa. I very much admire the lecture delivered by Dr. S. Acharya. You see, in our rituals, Karpur is fumigated in every home and every temples. And you will be happy to know that this camphor has antiviral activity. So, meaning to say that whatever is mentioned in our ancient culture, religion is scientifically true. There is need to believe that. Next point, we on own have taken initiative to make a samprapti and sampraptan vighatana chikitsa at different stages of COVID-19 infection. I am for sure and confident that certain innovative institutions may have planned to do it. I would like to request the Secretary Ayush, Honorable Rajesh Kotecha, and concerned bodies, please collect all recommendations regarding samprapti and samprapti vighatana chikitsa and let them examined on scientific footings of Ayurveda and then declare a strong strategy of Ayurveda to combat corona pandemic officially. Last thing, from this stage, from this floor, I would like to request you to think upon a suggestion of mine. When our India has APIs in spite of IPC, then why not we should have an Ayurvedic Drug and Cosmetic Act? Though it will take much efforts, it will take much long time, but can we start our efforts towards this? I'm giving this problem to all learned people to think upon this because I think this is need of today. With all these things, I am very sorry to interrupt the serial because here light is cut and my storm is there, and thanks and gratitude for your.
Thank you very much, sir. I request Professor P.K. Goswami, Director, Northeastern Institute of Ayurveda and Homeopathy, Shillong, to share his experience on current issue. Sir, in brief, please. Professor P.K. Goswami.
Thank you, Professor Mohes. Good evening to everybody and warm greetings. Honorable Minister, sir, and our dynamic Secretary, sir, and different senior officers of the Ministry, and distinguished panelists of all over the globe, and national office bearers, leaders of the Ayurveda. So here you see in Northeast regions, which is consist 7.9% of the geographical distribution of the India, and it is having 4.5 crores of populations. It is a fortunate enough that in COVID-19 infection is very less in entire Northeast region. Till now, we have got only 88% reported, out of which 2 has been dead and almost 40 has been recovered. And right now, around 36% is active cases. But though we are lucky enough that we have a very less number of patients, but we have a certain other demerits also. Due to geographical distributions, poor economic condition of the populations, and certain lack of basic infrastructure, it is not possible to extend all the possible medical health care through Ayush system of medicines. So on this ground assessment, we have taken certain initiative from our institute. First, we have very strictly followed the guidelines given by the government of India, more specifically by the Ministry of Ayush, as well as state government of Meghalaya. We have created certain mechanism for awareness among the common people, because in the whole northeastern region is very much difficult for communications. That's why once our student, we have around 400 students belongs to the different remote areas of the northeast regions. So once they have left for their home, we have been given all the guidelines for maintaining social distance, personal hygiene, as well as what to be done in terms of dietary regimens, in terms of immunoboosting modalities, and all this leaflet has been printed in local languages also, Khasi, Assamese, etc. And all these have been communicated to different state governments for world publicity. We have taken regular initiative with the Doordarshan as well as All India Radio for creating public awareness, and we have been also regularly instructed how, because NESAR has given certain abundant gifts to the whole population in the Northeast. Like we have got a very good quality turmeric, we have got abundant of cinnamon tamla, that means tajpatta, dalchini, black pepper, longam. It is nowadays is widely available. Only question is how the common people are going to consume it. So we have instructed by TV shows or the radio talk that how we are going to do research. For example, we have more often talked this Tinospora cordifolia and giloi, which is abundantly and easily accessible in each part of the northeast regions. And you know, by the grace of God, now in early rainy season, it is very easily available. So we have very clearly instructed how we can make the decoction of giloi, which can very cost-effective and easily accessible. Then we also design one diet protocol, because here is certain anthropological differences is there. Here diet habit is specific. So we have, according to Ayurvedic principle, we have designed a dieting protocol, and this also published in the form of leaflet. And we have been, these also have been communicated by different public media, because we know when we are thinking for promoting immunity, we definitely give the main importance to the diet, because without that we cannot think for a proper immunity. Because we know, as Hamida preaching, that punar mulam aharo bolavorna ujasam. So these are the initiatives we have taken, and for certain evidence creations, we are undertaking certain research protocols. We have starting with collaboration with Assam Agricultural University Veterinary College campus. We are going to undertaking one proposal for animal trial for immunomodulating drugs. We have taking up certain drugs as advocated by Ministry of Ayush, along with certain groups of drugs. And here, certain other drugs may be beneficial, because here these drugs basically belongs to the pipervirin family. Piper langa, pepali, which has been discussed in Samhitas in different areas, which is having a very significant role for increasing the different phenolic compounds. So these certain work has been undertaken and consideration by the ministry. So, but on the other hand, one question is that, but our institute has already taking sector of the one quarantine centers. So we have certain limitations, but still we are in the contact with the different state governments that how we can go forward for promotion, the promulgations of the different interventions as per Ayush techniques. Because apart from Ayurveda, we are also equally housed the homeopathic college as well as we have got regular yoga practice in different areas. So all have been given a very comprehensive program for fighting COVID from the home. because during social distancing or lockdown period, everybody have to take care of from their home. That's why we have given which a very randomly which public communication system to the population in the entire regions. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Moez.
Thank you very much, sir, for valuable talk. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. D.C. Katoch, sir, Advisor Ayurved Ministry of Ayush, to speak few words. Dr. D.C. Katoch ji.
Namaskar, Honorable Minister Ayush, Shripan Naik ji, our Secretary Vaidya Kotecha ji, my colleagues from the Ministry, and all national and international delegates participating in this webinar. In the last almost 40 days, I think it is for the first time that our Prime Minister took up the mandate of focusing on Ayush side, particularly Ayurveda. On 28th March, I think he gave the direction what is to be done, and he was very pragmatic to say that immunity boosting measures are important, and Ayush based or the Ayurveda based immunity boosting measures, these are important. So the ministry should do something on this. And the second was evidence based research. It was done, it was declared on 28th March, and I am happy to reveal that within 7 days, all the things, all the framework which was required, that was put in place. And on 1st April, we issued directive to the state governments that immunity promoting drugs of Ayurveda or the medicines of Ayurveda, those should be given license within 1 week. So with that, what has happened, all efforts they galvanized, the manufacturing efforts at the state level, they galvanized, and the manufacturers of Ayurveda drugs, Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani drugs, they started manufacturing this more and more immunity boosting products, as well as Ayush sanitizers also. And in the meantime, on 14th April, when the Prime Minister endorsed that Ayush could be one area which can be helpful in controlling, in combating the menace of COVID-19. So that day, a decoction, an Ayush decoction that was endorsed by the Prime Minister, and that was made up of only 4 ingredients, that is cinnamon, black pepper, ginger powder, and basil, holy basil, Ossimum sanctum. And then you will not believe that within 5 to 7 days, we standardized the formulation and we circulated it to the state governments, and requesting the state governments that the manufacturers may be allowed to manufacture under license these products, and we kept the name as Ayush decoction. In Ayurveda terms, in Unani terms, Ayush Kudinir, in Siddha terms, and in the Unani terms, we call it as Ayush Joshanda. Now, what has happened? Now, the many manufacturers, I think more than 30 or 40 manufacturers, they have started or they have applied for license to manufacture this drug. Now, the friends, I am taking out points from the addresses of Professor Morandi, from the address of Dr. Luis Berra, from the address of Dr. Arya Vora from USA, and also from Dr. Baghel. The point here is this COVID disease itself. If you see the etiopathogenesis of this disease in Ayurvedic principles, this disease is generated because of bahya hetu, external factor, agantuj hetu. Now, when that agantuj hetu, the external factor, it is virus, when it enters into the body, the intrinsic factors, they get destabilized, they get vitiated. No, if there is a stability in the intrinsic factors, means dosha samya. If dosha samya is strong, means the immunity, the internal environment is strong, I think the sanche, prakopa, prasar will not happen. Though sanche is there because of that entry of the virus in the body, it means that Sanche has taken place. But if we can prevent the progression of Sanche from Prakop to Prasar and Prasar to Vyaktavastha, I think that is the real strength of Ayurveda, which we can develop upon. And with this initiative, I think our focus is mainly on prophylaxis, immunity boosting.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Become
sir.
the COVID barriers. And then R&D framework, the guidelines, the protocols, and the drugs on which we are going to R&D, particularly population studies, as well as the prophylactic studies and others, well-structured studies through interdisciplinary. So that has now the point is, now the implementation start in the next few days. I think within a week's time, this population studies and the prophylactic study, these will start. And I think interesting findings would be there. And those findings, when we will do the data analysis, I think that data analysis that will be very, very useful, not only for the country, but also for the whole world. And I think the answer for, if you see in the conventional system, there is no answer. There is no answer for COVID outbreak. There is no answer. There is no known answer. But there are likely answers from the traditional medicine, particularly likely answers are there from Ayurveda or from other system of medicines. And I think once we unfold these answers, if we bring out these answers, I think these will be of global use. With these words, I conclude my words. Thank you very much. And I must thank Professor Tanuja Nesri and Dr. Vyas for inviting me to this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Dr. JLN Shastri ji, CEO NMPB, to throw some light on current situation. Dr. JLN Shastri ji.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will just share my screen. I have 4 or 5 slides which I have to share. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, one second. Is it okay now? Yeah. Thank you very much. At the outset, I congratulate the organizers and respected Honorable Minister and respected Secretary. I have just a different approach. I'll be touching those points which we have missed. For me, COVID in English is COVID in Sanskrit, which is making all of us knowledgeable. We are thriving for understanding this as a wonderful gesture. Okay, and now we were talking about a lot of what you call fundamentals that will always continue. Ayurveda said whenever there is a emergency condition or agantuja vyadhi, it is like a visha or the poisonous status. So treat it immediately. Ayurveda never bothered about dosha pratinika alone. Vyadhi pratinika is also an immediate remedy. That's how when a disease like Firanga or syphilis was there, they said vyadhi agantuja yashaha doshana mat sankramaha. First of all, start treating. Like your exploratory surgery in modern medicine, exploratory medicine was also mentioned. Godalingam vyadhim upachanapyapam parikshata. So we are getting carried away. That's one thing where I want to caution. These 4 slides were made while others were talking. We are getting panicky, but numbers are only for media, not for scientists. If you look at WHO data, it's interesting. Let us throw some focus. Europe, US, and the other countries, if we compare, Asian countries and African countries have low incidence. Again, I am not getting carried away. I have taken the number of tests conducted in these countries versus the population and made again conclusion that we have a different scenario. The humoral immunity, herd immunity, oblique your innate immunity, we need to look at. That's where the immunomodulators or the lifestyles are to be looked into. That's what we are going to do in our task force for the surveys. And again, I'm going to support with some of the data. The number of tests have increased. The number of positives are coming down. This is a live data available. And if I go by top 6 countries in this world today, India should have somewhere between 78,000 subjects to 2 lakh subjects at the level where world was having about 12 lakh studies. We are fourth in the world which have completed these 12 lakh studies. So that means we have some special conditions, maybe your traditions or your practices or your other living conditions which need to be analyzed. So coming to the point, what I am working upon right now as member secretary of the interdisciplinary task force, we have understood these conditions into 5 different categories as an immediate measure. The high risk population, which are HCPs, are healthcare professionals. Again, you can have a prophylaxis there with or without your HCQ in India, because HCQ is an official drug by ICMR in India, though not by WHO. And no other country even recommending except US doing some trials. Quarantine subjects who are asymptomatic, again a source of your study. Again, patients with mild symptoms and patients with severe symptoms. Today, I am requesting the Ayurveda community. We are all making plans, theoretical plans, but people like Ramana or even Geeta Krishnan and few people in Kerala, they are approaching subjects who have come out of the COVID hospitals. That's where they are sitting with them and they're taken special permission. They're interviewing them and they are trying to understand. My request to the learned community, because I'm also just an observer for most of these things because of my kind of work. But at the back end, this is what I'm suggesting to many who are trying to work in this field, unless we understand, like lung pathology has become your thrombosis today. And one of the speakers from Harvard, she was rightly mentioning neuro is emerging as a major segment which we need to look into. And again, the people who are in the critical care or ICU care are out of our context in the present given situation. You may hardly have concomitant therapy or add-on therapy. And the other one, which is very important, after 7 weeks of prophylaxis with HCQ, what is happening with these HCPs? And what is the situation in the post-convalescence period? Look there. Okay. So, divide them. Divide your approaches into 2 basic categories. Modeling your Vyadhikshamatva, what has been discussed, Vyadhibala Virodhitvam, Vyadhyutpadaka Pratibandhakatvam. One is host immunity, other one is weakening the causative factor. That's how if we approach basically 2 categories. On Britannia somnifera and Tinospora cardifolia have a lot of information, like Britannia, NIH have 2 studies, and British Pharmacopoeia accepted Tinospora cardifolia, Indian Pharmacopoeia accepted all of them. And if you look at the antiviral activity, probably this Glycyrrhiza glabra is one herb on which you have data which is established in your SARS-CoV-2 studies, both preclinical and clinical. China published a lot of papers, and then Andrographis study is just begun in US. And Philanthus is also a strong candidate for antiviral. That's how we are promoting, though it is in the research state. And I-64, as everybody discussed, I did not mention. My last slide is this. What I am going to give you by tomorrow. Today we have released, and tomorrow you will see on the Ayush website the practitioner guidelines along with the public health guidelines which have been given on 29th of January. Then Ayush research guidelines for COVID-2 activity, the guidelines for making the protocol for pre and post prophylaxis, guidelines for making the CRFs and prophylactic studies as add-on therapy, your guidelines for protocol on the add-on therapy with mild and moderate symptoms, and guidelines for protocol as standalone therapy. Some group has presented, we are just giving it as a model. Again, guidelines for a whole system treatment. And finally, the population-based studies, which will be very soon seen by all of you. A lot of activities going on, running into lakhs of subjects. App-based approach, where you may be doing it even retrospectively if required. A general population study, single-arm study, controlling with a healthy volunteer. And then control studies, all the 3 can happen. That's how we are gearing up. And we have also developed the guidelines, the preclinical studies guidelines with DBT, and the protocols will be, the guidelines for the protocols and the models, standard models will be seen tomorrow. Drugs identified for the prophylaxis are Giloipes pipali, which is being tried in Medanta Hospital, which is a classical combination. Sudarshan Garvari is another classical formulation. These two are going to be the prophylactic formulations officially being released. And Ayurveda Ahar is another aspect which we have elaborately mentioned in our report, which will be out. And then crowd-based projects have been shortlisted. From among 32 referred to us out of 2,269, 20 projects have been shortlisted. After peer review, they will get the nod for their studies. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. I would be grateful to Professor S.S. Savrikar, sir, former Vice Chancellor, Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar, to share his wisdom of knowledge. Professor S.S. Savrikar, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Honorable Minister Sri Pajya Naik, Honorable Secretary Rajesh Kotecha ji, Professor Tanuja Nesri, organizers, and all my participant friends. My friends, many speakers have spoken, and most of them have expressed their views. I'm not going to repeat the same thing again and again. I'll be speaking something else about it. I have a different approach to look towards this particular disease. I thank Dr. Morandi particularly and Dr. Acharya. In fact, we have to follow this which they is
Hello, am I audible now? Hello, am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just saying that we should look after the steps which are laid down by Dr. Acharya and Dr. Morandi. We have to pay attention to that. Are we looking only for the drugs on immunity boosting drugs and antiviral medicine? We will fail miserably. My friends, the modern medicine is already looking after this particular thing, and they are not getting any success at all. We have to follow the lines of Ayurveda. Dr. Baghel has also stressed this need, and we have to look to this disease through the eyes of research only. My friends, we are not talking to health. What is health? Are we talking about holistic medicine? If we are talking about holistic medicine, we have to have approach holistic as well. So we have to find out what is and there we are this particular link, I think. That's why we have to go forward with all these lines. In this line, I will give you some options we can very pay attention to. For example, it is very true that none of our participants which we are taking this, we are participating, we have just a single case of active COVID. We just second-hand information on due to network issue. Now I would like to invite Dr. A. Raghu, Joint Advisor, Minister of Ayush, to brief this subject. Dr. A. Raghu.
Namaskar, Honorable Minister of Ayush, respected Secretary, Professor Tanuja ma'am. We have gone a long period of COVID-19. As we all know that Ministry of Ayush is in the first instance itself have already circulated the guidelines for prophylactic measures, and particularly in the context of immunity care, and rightly from the principles of Ayurveda, as Susrada mentioned that Rakshet balam chabi narasya nityam tadrakshidam vyadi balam nihandi. So the protection of the body strength will be the primary objective along with other interventions. So in that context, we have circulated the guidelines to all the state governments, which was reiterated by our Honorable Prime Minister. And after that, even large number of Ayush workforce in the entire country have been trained for various aspects of the COVID-19, and they have been deployed in various centers, even in the quarantine centers, even isolation facilities, even for the home-to-home visits, and many aspects Ayush workforce has already been engaged. Apart from that, the ministry, as already from the previous speakers have already mentioned, that various studies have been formulated under the guidance of the task force. And among that, one of the important studies that we are referring now, the population-based studies, which we are now going to enroll through our research councils and national institutes, and even with the collaboration of the various states and UT governments. Friends, you will be surprised to know that various state governments are also undertaking various activities through Ayush systems of medicines. Gujarat government we have already mentioned in the previous sessions. Similarly, Madhya Pradesh government also have massively distributed Ayurvedic medicines through the large number of population. Haryana is already conducting the studies, and even Tamil Nadu, by an executive order, they have distributed this decoction in even the modern hospitals, allopathy hospitals also, apart from the Siddha hospitals. So in this way, various activities are done to fight this menace of the COVID-19, and the Ministry of Ayush jointly in hand with the concerned state and UT governments and research councils, national institutes, educational institutes, and even the voluntary organizations, we are entering into a long-term fight against this disease. And with our inherent strength, I think we can have an impact particularly in the Ayush sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raghu. Thank you very much, Dr. Raghu, for your brief and neat presentation. Now, this is about the scientific talks or presentations from different groups, international group, physicians' perspective, as well as national institutes and organizations' perspective we have seen. Going ahead with this, let us take the few words of support and from our respected Additional Secretary, Shri Pramod Kumar Pathak ji. I request Pramod Kumar Pathak ji, please address the webinar.
Thank you, distinguished participants. It has been very, very informative talks by all the distinguished national and international participants. Most of the things concerning management of COVID through traditional medicine, especially Ayurveda, has been covered. I will not go into those things because those things has been told by the experts. I only say a few things. If we see a situation positively, every crisis has an opportunity. So this corona crisis has brought a lot of opportunities for the Ayush sector. First, Ministry of Ayush issued advisory when the modern system of medicine, that is allopathy, couldn't find any clue to what is happening, how it will be controlled. Ministry of Ayush first time issued an advisory which was endorsed by 15 prominent Vaidyas of the countries. And it was become viral all over the world, translated into 8 languages, 8 foreign languages. Almost everywhere, we found that Ayush has become a center stage of management of this COVID crisis. Honorable Prime Minister mentioned in his various addresses, in his address to the nation, in the Mann Ki Baat, as well as he mentioned in the tweets also that everybody should increase their immunity by following Ayush advisories. Because Ayush was the first system to realize that we should not run after the cure. We should strengthen ourselves. That is the cure of the system. That is the basis of management of this disease. Then Ayush found itself in the Arogya Setu app, which was included, and it has become, Ayush Advisory become a part of Arogya Setu app, which was launched by Department of MeitY of Government of India. Then Honorable Commerce Minister conducted 2 video conferences with the Ayush industrialists, and entire Ayush industry became one in supporting the Ministry of Ayush in its fights against COVID. They offered free medicines so that Ayush can approach the people and they can provide a lot of support to the people in this matter of crisis. Then Secretary Ayush, Padma Shri Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha, became a member of Empowered Committee, which was constituted for augmenting human capacity. And suddenly we found that around 8 lakhs corona via Ayush sector have become health workers, health supporter, have become a part of management of this COVID disease. And they are being deployed actively all over the country for the surveillance, for clinical management, and for management of isolation centers. Then I got platform of DOPT. Ayush sector has become a separate training module, which was followed by the various Ayush force. And above all, the most important, now a scientific aspect is being discussed. Now everywhere the thrust is on establishing the scientific aspect of Ayush sector. And a lot of scientific studies have been planned, which will be launched, as has been told by Dr. Jailen Shastri, Dr. Raghu, who are actively involved in this thing. Dr. Manoj Nesri, he also mentioned about how the scientific activities is there. So scientific-based, evidence-based study is also there. Entire thing has transformed the Ayush sector. Now we are in touch with ICMR, we are in touch with CSIR. So a lot of activities are going on to bring it on the scientific platform, as was mentioned by Honorable Prime Minister in his address, that everything, whatever we say, should have a scientific backing. Now the entire world is looking towards the Ayurveda. I hope that we will live up to the expectation, and certainly I'm confident seeing the addresses by various officers, various distinguished participants. I hope this will lead to a transformation of the mindset of the people, and Ayurveda become on the center stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. You have rightly told every crisis has an opportunity, and it is a time for Ayurveda fraternity to use this crisis or turn this crisis into an opportunity for Ayurveda. This webinar itself is an example for that. We have international participation, international collaborators with us. Everyone has expressed their positive views about the immune boosting capacity or immune boosting strength and strengths of Ayurveda science. Thank you very much, sir. Now I invite Shri P.N. Ranjit Kumarji, our Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Ayush, for his blessings. Dr. Ranjit Kumarji, please. I think he is not in touch with the line. I request Shri Roshan Jaggi, Joint Secretary with Ministry of Ayush, to bless us. Roshan Jaggi, sir, please. I think we are not able to contact the Joint Secretaries, Sri Ranjit Kumarji and Roshan Jaggi ji. Of course, they have already expressed their wishes to this particular program. On behalf of All India Institute, I am thanking them. Going ahead with this, friends, we have representation from various embassies and international collaborators with Ministry of Ayush. We have collaboration. We have in touch with High Commission of India, UK, Embassy of Mauritius, Malaysia, Berlin, etc. And I request whosoever the embassy representatives are there online, please come on and express your views about Ayurveda system in combating this COVID crisis. Yeah. From the different embassies, because we don't have the names of who is representing the embassies here. Mr. Dhananjay Desai from Mauritius and Dr. Mrs. Gopal from Mauritius, they have also issued to join us in this program. If they are online, please come. I think we are not able to get connected with them. Probably they may be watching through Facebook or Twitter handles where we cannot interact with them. Going ahead with the webinar program, so we have got question answer session, and we have a couple of questions with us. Of course, there are a lot of appreciations from all over for a lot of messages to the Ministry of Ayush for organizing, All India Institute of Ayurveda for organizing this. Some of the participants observed that environmental factors are very important, and we have to address the environmental factors too. One of the question was role of yajna and agarbatti or incense sticks which we are using, dhupana. I think Dr. Acharya has already answered this. And how to address the psychological issues. This is a question. Of course, the speakers in between, some of them have touched this. If Dr. Anupam Srivastav, can you please highlight how the psychological issues associated with the COVID crisis can be addressed? Pardon, sir? Dr. Anupam?
If you permit, Dr. Rajgopal.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yes. So actually, this issue, it was in the Panchakarma slide because I was hurrying up.
Yeah.
Under the treatment of Vishamajvara itself, Charaka has very specifically mentioned to attend the psychological issues. And he has referred Nasya, Anjana, Lepa, and those treatments which are mentioned in the Manasaroga Chikitsa should be used under the treatment of Vishamajvara. This gives a very good reference to you that even these conditions of Vishamajvara and COVID, there is most likely the possibility of involvement and there will be a presence of psychological issues. And all those measures, along with the Panchakarma also, like doing Shirodhara and other things, can be handled. Of course, as I mentioned, with the holistic Ayurveda approach, Sattvavajaya Chikitsa is also very much important. Even the Dhupana for the psychiatric, Jatamamsi and Gugala Dhupana, they are also.
Definitely, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Anupam is here. He is from the specialty of Rasashastra or herbo minerals and metals and minerals.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions. Why not Rasaushadhis in the management? Dr. Anupam, can you please put forth your views? Please. Why not Rasaushadhis?
Yeah. Hello. Is it?
Yes, you're audible.
Hello,
Yes. Yeah, you're audible. Yes. No, his mic is mute. Dr. Anupam has kept his mic mute. Ask him to unmute, please. Right. Dr. Anupam, please unmute your mic. Right. Yes. Yeah. So when till Anupam comes, let us go ahead. There is a question for.
You can ask to Dr. Savrikar for Rasastra.
Yes.
Yeah. If Savrikar sir is online.
So ask him.
Savrikar sir, if
Yes,
you
sir.
online, sir, can you please tell what are the Rasaushadhis? Anupam is back? Yes, please. No, Anupam is not black. So there is a question for our international participants. What Ayurveda methods and precautions you are using there in your country, or you are advising in your country to your fellow people to prevent this pandemic? Ayurvedic measures which you advise in your country, your fellow people to prevent the pandemic of COVID-19. International participants from the medical field, Dr. George Berai is here. Dr. Morandi is here. Can you please attend this, sir?
Yeah, sorry, I got disconnected. Yeah. Yeah.
Anupamji, Rasaushadhis in this particular condition.
Yeah. Yeah. Rasaushadhis. Yeah. Sorry, I got disconnected. At 11th hour, there are the many Rasaushadhis are there, which could be used for the prophylactic purposes as well as also for the purpose of the treatment methodology. For instance, the Yashad, there is a lot of reports are about the Yashad has a very good antiviral property, and this somehow it breaks the wall of, it has been so, that is the primary report. In addition to that, I would like to share, there is a copper. Copper has a very good role. There is a proven report of about the copper also. That is a good role in a management of this, particularly not in a condition like COVID, but it is general anti-infective property is very good. And in addition, there are many formulation available in the country, particularly if you talk about our country, from the mild, moderate, and severe condition, right from the Nardi Lakshmi Vilas Ras up to the Vasant Malti with Laghu Vasant Malti and Gold. These are a very good role in management of the respiratory condition as well as other condition also.
Yeah, definitely. Rasaushadhis can be used definitely, but we don't have what you call specific evidences for use of these things, and there is a fear of toxicity. There is a fear again. The question to international community, Dr.
Yeah. But the zinc could be.
Yeah.
Zinc could be used. Zinc could be used. Zinc could be, it is widely acceptable. Zinc could be used. Yeah, zinc could be used.
Thank you, sir. Now, Dr. Bera, can you highlight what Ayurveda measures you are advising to your team?
Yes, hello. We are advising, we are conducting regular meditation groups with all people.
Okay, so thank you. Some of this I touched on earlier, but I mean, obviously, we're recommending the immunomodulating lifestyle. So I'm recommending the adequate sleep, rest, exercise, proper nutrition. Also recommending the hot beverages. there was an article in Journal of Alternative California Medicine that was recently published that I think was pretty acceptable to the American community, talking about certain, monotherapy. People seem to like that here. So the idea of ashwagandha or guduchi, which really are considered safe enough based on previous studies that it's comfortable to recommend something like that, or rasayan shorna kind of thing. And Shawan Prash is widely available here, although with COVID it's hard to get now, so people really are buying those things. So those are some measures that we are using in addition to physical distancing.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. What is the acceptance and what is the outcome?
Yeah, so people are basically considering that ashwagandha and guduchi and Shawan Prash are safe and efficacious. So that is basic stuff, plus the lifestyle measures, which are not specifically Ayurveda, but definitely there's overlap.
Thank you. Dr. Bera, you want to add? Fine. Dr.
No,
Morandi, can you please add what Ayurveda measures you are advising in your team?
Okay, in our team, we are advising and conducting meditation groups and instruct people also how to perform pranayama through these Facebook streaming groups. We are conducting it daily, and the people are feeling well, and these actions also they are very helpful in order, because they are in the quarantine and they feel a lot of stress due to this condition.
Okay, good. Dr. Morandi, you want to add anything? Sir, you have to unmute. Your mic is mute. Morandi ji, you have to unmute your mic.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Yes. So what is the prescription for our patients here in Italy? The one that we have in therapy for this problem, or in prevention for COVID. Actually, we have a limited range of possibility due to the fact that there are a lot of limitation here in Italy for some Ayurvedic drugs. But mainly what we give, we give products with Yashti Madhu, Videkarand, and Raksha, which are the main products. There are several pharmaceutical products with these Ayurvedic pharmaceutical products with these herbs as a base. And then, of course, we advise yoga and meditation. But and then also ashwagandha, because ashwagandha has not only property at the immunitary level, but also because it helps in giving snigdha, which is one of the most important thing in this situation. Because as I said, ruksha and ushna virya, I think that there has been some kind of misunderstanding. This situation has the COVID has ushna virya, and then but the essence, the real problem of the COVID is ruksha. So we have to implement the snigdha thing. In fact, moist humidity is one of the problems. Is one of the the factor that stops COVID-19.
Thank you, Dr. Morandi. Actually, there was a question for the guna-based logic behind the guna understanding and other things. You have answered it exactly. You have given the answer now. Ushna virya, it is not ushna guna. Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Shiho, you want to add anything?
Thank you, Dr. Rajgopal. Nice to see you again. So preventive part, we can follow that ahara, vihara, aushadha in both preventive and treatment.
What I'm asking is what you are advising.
So that we should concentrate.
What you are advising practically?
Yeah, practically we are advising to take. Practically we are advising nasya, gandush, and garam pani, ushnodaka pan. Yeah. And also specifically, I always recommend mung soup. Mung soup will not create ama, so Deepanapachan is good for diabetes and good for rheumatoid arthritis. So which means good for the metabolism and good for the immunity too.
Okay. Thank you. Of course, there are a lot of questions are there. Non-specific questions are there. I'm not because of the time constraint. I'm not going for that. Over to Dr. Sujata Kadam, our Dean Academics, for the next proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajgopal sir. I'm here to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of All India Institute of Ayurveda.
Professor Dr. Kadam, I want to say something before actually you conclude.
Yes, sir. Yes, please, sir. Yes, please.
I just want to appeal to all our international collaborators and to inform that we have developed and the web application. It is called as Ayush Sanjeevani, and you may download this. We will share the link of that, and if that application is not downloadable to you, maybe because of the some kind of technical problem, then in that case we would like to share with you the questionnaire that we have developed to get the survey of people how they are following it, the Ayush advisory. I would request all of you to get as much as possible the largest feedback from your country, and so that we can have the understanding how the people they are following this advisory. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the appeal you have been made by Ministry of Ayush. Now, I'm on behalf of All India Institute of Ayurveda. Thank you all for participating in this mega event, that is webinar on this COVID management, international perspective. I thank Honorable Minister Shripad Naik ji for this inaugural of this webinar, and the Honorable Secretary Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha ji for supporting us in every aspect and addressing the gathering. I thank Additional Secretary Pramod Kumar Pathak sir, Joint Secretary Roshan Jaggi sir, Advisor Manoj Nesri sir and Katot sir, Joint Secretary Ranjit Kumar Pathak sir for supporting us and addressing. Then our gurus, Dr. Mahesh, Dr. Baghel sir and Dr. S.H. Acharya sir. Then speakers from 7 countries, Dr. Ishwar Morandi, then Mark Rosenberg, Christine Rosenberg, Amit Bhargav sir, then George Louis Vera, Dilip Ghosh from Australia, Dr. Shivo from Japan, Dr. Arena Vora from USA, and Geeta Krishnan, Dr. Geeta Krishnan from WHO participation, for WHO participation. Then National Institute directors, I thank all National Institute for supporting us in all functions and such kind of academic events. So I thank all directors of national institutions, and special thanks to Dr. Savrikar sir for participating in this webinar. Then I thank our director madam for guiding us in every aspect of this webinar, and thank All India team who have conducted this 4 hours event uninterruptedly. Thank you one and all. Thanks a lot. All logo partners, I thank all logo partners, Ayurveda Vaspit, Vishwa Ayurved Parishad and Nasya and other logo partners. I thank my Member of Parliament, Dr. Anurag Sharma sir. Thank you one and all. Thanks a lot.